right side, right? Yeah. You start the presentation. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll be talking a little bit about electric mobility. I think sustainable transportation needs electrification, whether it is shared transport, whether it is mass transport. So instead of delving into what can create sustainability, I would much rather focus on the need for electrification in India and what all we require to make that happen. I won't talk too much about Altigreen, but a little bit. So these are some very hard facts, guys. I think it's very, very important to internalize them for our country. 2.4 million people lose their lives in our country because of poor air quality. I'm talking about India alone. I'm talking about per year. 2.4 because of poor air quality. 25% is attributed to road transport. 5 to 6 lakh people lose their lives in my country every year because of road transport vehicles. Uncontested facts, I'll be happy to share sources with you. 14 of the top 15 worst polluted cities of the world are in India. This is one place where we've beaten China hands down. It's a fact, uncontested facts, right? We also import a lot of oil from other countries, and hence electrification, of course, may be the case. But I did want to share a few numbers with you. If you look at the number of automobiles that are part of our country, it's about 2.5 to 3 million passenger vehicles sold every year. About 21 million two-wheelers, these are all fossil fuel vehicles, sold every year in this country, 1.3 million three-wheelers, about 100,000 odd, maybe 250,000 odd buses, trucks, heavy commercial vehicles. This is the kind of number of vehicles we are talking about in this country. Interestingly enough, 4th largest worldwide, the 7th largest in commercial vehicles. But the very, very important thing, with all of this, India still has only 22 vehicles per 1,000 people in this country. 5 to 6 lakh people die every year in this country because of road transport pollution. This is with only 22 vehicles per 1,000. I took a list of 188 countries. India features in the 33 lowest. Trust me, you've not heard of those countries below this, right? We're talking about 800 odd in the US, even in China, 181. India is 22. By this, all I'm trying to say is that the density of vehicles is only going to increase, and it's going to increase very rapidly. A couple of graphs below. India has a very young, upwardly mobile, workforce people. They do love comfort. They will invest in automobiles. There's also, of course, there's a lot of correlation between increasing GDP and comfort. And hence, we are certain that the number of vehicles are only going to increase. And this is not just me. Everyone in the world is talking about this. And by the way, when I talk about India, I'm talking about India and the emerging markets. When I say emerging markets, I mean South Asia, Africa, South America. This is that southern hemisphere that very few people really talk about and are interested in. Most of the technologies are built for the northern hemisphere, the Japans, the Chinas, the Germanys, the US, right? And then they're coming to the emerging markets. This is the sector that is going to grow. If you look at the countries, if you look at the geographies that are most, that are with the green, you'll notice that automobiles in these sectors are going to increase. And the government of India is doing its own part by trying to push us down by saying that there should be regulation, you should reduce the emissions coming. I think that's global. The most important thing in all of this is, why are we discussing only electric? I think there are lots of options. I've shown that guy over there, right? I mean, there's ethanol, there's this, there's that. There are all kinds of things that are available, CNG, LPG also, all kinds of options. Why electric, right? I've given you a few things over here. First of all, EVs are really simple machines, like really, really simple. I mean, and when I talk about simplicity, I mean this. You're moving from 2,000 moving parts in an IC vehicle. This might be a little, jaded, but 2,000 moving parts in a normal internal combustion engine vehicle, about 17 in an EV. Facts, uncontested. EVs are really simple. Number two, if you are going to be generating electricity from renewable sources, I'm hoping that that is going to happen. India is slowly increasing its renewable sources, electricity generation from that. You know, when we started back in 2011, 2012, I think 91% of India's electricity was coming from, coal grids. But today that has reduced to almost 70%, even a little less. So India is very rapidly moving towards solar. I think the important thing at the end of the day is that if we are able to get more renewable sources, the electrification only helps. I think one of the very, very important things about EV that most people possibly sometimes forget is that the engine, the EV engine, the motors, they run at 90% efficiency. Compare that to an internal combustion engine that runs at 25% efficiency. For the same use of the energy, an EV is probably going to be a lot more efficient compared to a not regular vehicle. So when we started by looking at these, I think the first thing that you do is you realize, okay, fine, electrification is the need of this geography and we need to get into more electric vehicles. But then it's very, very important to kind of figure out what sector you need to build electric vehicles for. And then this is my biggest problem about my geography. We start by looking at, things that look good to the external world. We'll get into passenger vehicles, we'll get into those kinds of things, which I believe are possibly not right. Okay, this doesn't show that red light. But what we did was we looked at the various things that make electrification possible, route predictability, how much money is being invested, how are the governments working on it. On the basis of that, you figure out what really works for your geography. And we realized that small format vehicles are probably the right thing to do. Anyway, the important thing, EVs need to compete in price and performance with fossil fuel vehicles. Very, very important. And EVs need to be built for the geography for which they're going to be used. Whenever we talk about EVs, you will see pictures like these. Nice roads, perfect, good driving conditions, everything. This is my country. I don't belittle my country, I love my country. But these are facts. And I think if we talk about electrification, we have to internalize that this is the need of my geography. And what is the need? I've broken it down because we're very technology centric. I've not spoken a lot about Altigreen. I think I'll have one slide in the end for it. But, the speed profiles are very different. You need to ensure that when you make electric motors, they work on these speed profiles. They work on efficiency zones that are best suited for the speed. Just because something is very good in Europe doesn't mean it'll work perfectly well in my geography. It most likely will not. This is my geography. I don't say this once again to belittle it, no, but this is a reality. Diesel vehicles have been doing a great job in this geography. Very, very good job, right? And if I need to compete with diesel, I need to make sure that my EVs are also vehicles that can take the 30G shock that you get when an overloaded commercial vehicle gets into a pothole. It's a fact. We have to ensure that this happens. This is my geography. Right? I need to ensure that we have taken care of overloading because this is the norm. I am not here to change the business model. I'm not here to preach people and tell them that it's not good to not do overloading. I can do that till the cows come home. I'm not going to make a difference. I have to ensure the vehicles we built are able to take care of this kind of a use case. I think that to me is the most important thing when we design electric vehicles. People are building vehicles on the basis of whatever they can build, which is wrong. We have to build vehicles that can compete with diesel. That is the only way we will make a sustainable difference to this. Okay, so quick note on Altigreen. I think I'm seeing my time is already up. I started this company about 10 years back. It's been 10 years. It takes a long time to do R&D. We looked at various verticals, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers. We built vehicles in all these verticals. Who am I to decide what people will like? I put them in the Auto Expo. I let people decide. They all bet on my three-wheeler, and that's the one we took to series production. It has a number of firsts in the market. We've launched this vehicle. It's being used right now by a lot of the logistic companies. The important thing we realized, and that's what Altigreen did, was we did our own R&D. We built our own motors, controllers, DC-DC harness, display clusters, telematics, even our gearbox. Because trust me, guys, if I have to make a motor that can do 80% efficiency for a very wide range, I have to make it run at very high RPMs, and for that, a gearbox doesn't exist on this planet. We had to build it ourselves. That's fine, we'll do it. Right? And that is what gave us the 26 global patents that we have today. These are global patents granted to us, not filed, not applied. These are granted to us. And it took us a while. We filed our first patent in 2012. For 4 years, most people were not even willing to look at it. There's a company based out of Mahadevpura, some small company, talking about the most efficient motor for hybrid operation. They're like, what are you talking about, man? Motors have been made for 200 years. I mean, how can this be something? Just read prior art. 4 years, just threw prior art at us. And when they finally landed up reading it, they said 6 patents back to back were granted in the US to us, back to back, over I think 9 or 12 months time. So I'm just saying that I'm not creating a moat by putting these patents together. I'm not trying to push people out by saying that, no, you should not do this, no. To this audience, I want to make clear that we are doing this to let the entire world know that if you want to build products for my geography, you will have to innovate. Just because it works well in another geography doesn't mean it will work for my country. It most likely will not. So please focus on innovation, make it happen. I am certain that we'll be able to do something good. And EVs are already catching up. Lots of data on it. I just end by my very, very important line, made in India, made for India, and made for the rest of the world. So we're creating global solutions for India. Thank you so much for your time.